I am Bram Stoker, though for most of my life I was not known as a writer at all. I was born in Dublin in 1847, a year when death was already a familiar presence in Ireland. Illness confined me to my bed throughout much of my childhood. I was weak, often immobile, and expected very little of the world beyond my window. And so, I learned to observe. When one cannot move freely, one imagines. When one cannot live fully, one studies life and death with great care. Ironically, I recovered completely. I grew strong. I became an athlete. Life, it seemed, had merely been waiting. I studied mathematics, worked as a civil servant, and later became the manager of the famed actor Henry Irving. For decades, I lived among theatres, shadows, illusion, and applause, watching people become other people every night. It is remarkable training for a writer of monsters. The idea that would later become Dracula did not arrive suddenly. It crept. I was fascinated by folklore, by old stories whispered in rural places, stories of the dead who did not stay dead, of blood, of contagion, of strangers who brought ruin with them. I read about Eastern Europe, about Wallachia, about a historical prince named Vlad the Impaler, a man of such cruelty that history itself seemed reluctant to repeat his name. I borrowed it anyway. But Dracula is not merely a tale of a vampire. That would be far too simple. It is a story about fear, specifically modern fear. Fear of invasion, fear of degeneration, fear of foreignness, fear that science and reason, for all their progress, might not protect us from ancient horrors. Count Dracula is old, but he learns. He studies London. He adapts. He migrates. He is not defeated by crosses alone, but by cooperation, knowledge, and unity, by people who share information rather than dismiss superstition outright. And yes, there is blood. But blood, you see, was already a subject of fascination in my time. Medicine was learning its secrets. Disease traveled unseen. The boundary between life and death felt alarmingly thin. When Dracula was published in 1897, it was received politely. No riots, no outrage. Certainly no prediction that my name would become permanently attached to capes, coffins, and late-night television. I did not grow rich from it. I did not become famous in my lifetime. But stories, like certain creatures, do not always reveal their power immediately. I think Dracula endured because it understood something uncomfortable, that evil does not always roar. Sometimes it knocks politely. Sometimes it arrives with a title, an accent, and impeccable manners, and sometimes it never truly dies. If my work has lasted, it is not because I invented a monster, but because I gave shape to anxieties that already existed. The vampire merely held up a mirror, and humanity, as it turned out, recognized itself.